Jennifer Roig-Francolí, creator of The Art of Freedom for Conscious Living and Masterful Artistry. And today we're going to be talking about success. What makes you successful and what doesn't make you successful, or what makes you unsuccessful. Okay, so big topic because I don't know anybody who wants to feel unsuccessful. Anybody out there want to feel unsuccessful? Let's hear the opposite. Who out there wants to feel successful? Let me see. Give me your responses. Thumbs up. Okay, I want this to be interactive and fun. So tell me in the comments here today. Tell me if this is something you want. Okay? Most people who watch my videos are artists. Most people are musicians. And actually within those people, most people who watch my videos are violinists, because I'm a violinist myself. And actually, before I dive into today's topic of success, I would like to just put a little bug out there and a little heads up that, especially for those of you in my free Facebook group, the Mind, Body, Spirit Tribe for Creative Souls, there are some big changes underway in my business, my work, with the Art of Freedom. My Facebook group is going to be changing soon, and I'm going to have a big announcement very soon for violinists, especially professional violinists. So if you're a violinist and you're curious, I hope that you'll stay tuned and make sure you're on my email list if you aren't yet, so that you can get all the details. But I'm going to be announcing something special in the Facebook group very soon. So also, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you might want to make sure you join my Facebook group and find out about what I'm talking about within the week. I'm working on some ideas, brainstorming things, especially for professional violinists. So stay tuned for that. But no matter what instrument you play, or whether you're a writer or an actor, or doesn't matter who you are, I don't know anybody who doesn't want to feel successful. So that's the topic for today. And I want to say hello to people coming on. Hello, Joe and Marjolaine, Jane. Hey, it's so nice to have you here. Christina says she'll be here. Oh, that's nice. That's great. Great. So who wants to feel successful? And what does that feel like? So just take a moment right now. And can you remember a time in life, maybe very recent or maybe a long time ago, something that stands out in your memory of a success that you've had? Can you think of something? And if something doesn't come to mind, that's okay. We are successful in staying alive every single day, and you are too, or you wouldn't be here watching this. So I just want to put that out there. Actually, it's very important. And I just did a guided meditation for one of my groups on success and the fact that we are absolutely 100% successful in our entire lives in every single moment. This is so important to remember, because when you remember that you are successful, your job in life is to stay alive, right? It's like that's your God-given, nature-given mandate, right? To stay alive. And you are doing that successfully. Every single time you breathe, whenever you put food in your mouth, you are already successful. Now that's a big picture, very, very, very clear, simple way to get in touch with the feeling of success. And I just wanted to make sure I put that out there, because it's a really, really important concept that I'll probably be coming back to throughout the video. But think of that time, if you can remember one, where you achieved success. Anybody want to share one of those in the comments? Can you remember a time when you just felt so on top of the world because you had achieved something really special for you? Perhaps you received recognition from the world or from a person. Maybe you didn't. Maybe it was a completely self-owned, self-validated experience where you tried something and you were successful, and didn't matter if anybody else in the world saw it or not, but you did it. and you knew you did it. Can you remember that? Now my next question is, when you think about that success, when you remember that moment, then what does it feel like in your body? And by the way, as you contemplate that, I just want to say that I see your comment, Joe, about my audio level being low. Honestly, I just checked these levels in another Facebook group before I started, and it sounded just fine to me. So I'm wondering if anybody else here is having the same issue, or if it's just Joe. I can do one little tweak here. I just turned it up a little bit. I'm hoping that helped, but other than that, I hate to say it, but I don't have any other options here. So I would love to get feedback from other people though, because if it's really, really low, Diane says yes. What does the yes refer to? Olga says my audio is good. Okay, that's helpful. I'm very happy to hear that. I've been having trouble with my audio lately. I have a great setup here, and it has worked for me beautifully, but lately it's been a little frustrating because the same thing isn't working anymore. So, okay. I'm just going to keep going because this is what I've got right now, and if it's okay for... Oh, Diane says it's low also. I'm going to bring my microphone a little closer. It's already very close, but just in case this helps, I'm just going to bring my microphone a little closer, and hopefully that'll help a little bit, but probably doesn't do too much. Anyway, I'm just going to keep going because at least it's okay for some of you, and hopefully that got better. Jane says it's good. All right, great. So, what does it feel like to feel successful? Before we can even talk about how to become more successful, we need to know what we're talking about. What does success feel like? What does success feel like in your body? And I would love to get a ton of comments here. I want to hear from all of you. When you feel successful, how do you know that you're feeling successful? What is your body telling you? And an easy way to get at that is to think about a time when you felt really unsuccessful. If you go do that right now and you think about a failure that you have, or some part of your life where you're kind of banging your head against the wall and you're just not being able to get past a blockage. If you can contrast what that feels like, and then remember the time when you were really successful, you should be able to feel a difference. You know, some people may not feel much, that's okay. But even if you can feel a little bit of a difference, that is a golden thing, because that is going to help you get more of what you want, okay? Joe says, I feel content when I feel successful, right? Kay says, it feels strong. Maria-Elaine says, enthusiastic. Oh, this is cool. I didn't know I could put 3 comments up at the same time. Yes, so what does your body feel like? Kay says it feels strong. Anything else specifically about your physical body that you sense when you're feeling successful? I know that me personally, I feel centered. I also feel stronger. Jane says happy, bubbly. Yeah. I feel centered, grounded, and I feel bigger. I don't know about you, but when I feel successful, it's like I did it. I am big for myself, right? I'm bigger. When I feel that I have failed, or I'm just not being successful, or I am lacking in success, or I need more success, my whole body starts to contract, and I'm feeling smaller and tighter and a little more constricted, and there's some kind of need that starts creeping in. And as soon as I feel that need or sense of lack, there's a shrinking, compressed quality that reflects that in the body. And even talking about it, I'm really feeling it. So I'm going to go back to feeling successful. And again, I'm going to refer back to what I said close to the beginning of this video. A really quick way to start feeling more successful is to pause just for a moment and remember that your personal mission on this planet as a human being is to stay alive, and you are doing it. You are successfully living. You are breathing. Even if your breathing is constricted or shallow or you're sick, if you are breathing at all, you are 100% successful in your whole life, in life as a whole. When you breathe, your entire body is benefited and is kept alive, not just your lungs, right? Your whole body, all your cells, your brain, your nervous system, your muscles, everything is connected. So when you take in air and when your body takes that in, the benefits of that air benefit every single cell in the body. So your entire physical life is sustained. So you are completely successful in that moment. Now, when you do that, when you remember that right now, and can you really take that in for a moment? Can you feel what that's like to be grateful that you can breathe? Even if you're sick and you have labored breathing, even if your breath is shallow, and as soon as I said that, everybody probably noticed that their breath is not as big as, right? As deep as it could be, right? Anytime we start talking about breathing changes. But that's just normal. The breath is always changing. So if you can just observe your breath and be grateful for it, you're instantly going to have more of an experience of plenitude, of abundance, of well-being. In every moment that you take a breath, you are 100% successful. So I want to just talk about 4 things now, in addition to this big picture, quick solution to feeling unsuccessful. Okay, we are, most of us watching, most of you, I am, we're musicians, okay? Most of us here. And most of the musicians watching this are, in fact, violinists, which is why I'm going to be doing more for violinists coming up soon. As musicians, as artists, do you want to be more successful in your artistry? That's a yes or no question. Answer it in the comments. Give me a thumbs up if your answer is yes, but even better, give me all the thumbs up and hearts and whatever if you want to be more successful playing your instrument, being a violinist, cellist, flautist, pianist, writer, painter. Do you want to be more successful at your craft, at your skill, at your career? Yes or no? Just put a Y for yes and for no. I want to see, are you all with me? Do we all want that? I think so. That's why I'm doing this video, because I'm assuming we all want that, right? Okay, so if you want to be more successful as a musician, does that feel harder now because of coronavirus? Yeah, for most of us, it feels like life has been turned upside down, doesn't it? Because musicians, but especially professionals, we need a live audience. We have been trained to play for live audiences in person. And if you're an amateur, you probably enjoy getting together with your teacher or your colleagues or your friends to play chamber music or playing in the local orchestra. All musicians of all skill levels, not all, but almost all musicians. I say not all because I do know some people who actually prefer to just play alone for themselves, and that's totally fine. But most of us need and want connection with live people when we play. So it feels so wrong not to be able to do that. And does that, it feels so wrong, influence how successful you feel or how unsuccessful you feel? That's a question for all of you. Is it related? Have you thought about this connection before? The inability to get out there and be with the public, does that influence your sense of success? It may or may not. We're all different, but I'm curious to hear your responses, to see your responses, because I can't hear you, but glad you can hear me now. So here are 4 things that are essential if you want to become more successful in your artistry. That's granted that there is the big picture that I talked about already, about you can feel successful in any moment that you want to, if you remember that all you need to do really to be successful is stay alive, and you're doing great. Right? So that's a quick key and essential to remember that. Okay? What you focus on, you get more of. If you think about lack, you'll experience more lack. If you think about abundance, you'll get more abundance. If you think about lack of success, you will start to feel less successful. If you think about the fact that you are successful, you'll start to feel more successful. Okay? That's just a given. But here are the 4 things that I came up with to get clear on success, to experience more of it. Number 1, you need to have a clear purpose. You have to have clear goals and clarity of intention. Your why needs to be very present in your life. So let's say you want to, when COVID is over and we're allowed to, be playing with each other in person. Let's say you're a professional violinist and you want to be successful as a performer. Or maybe you're an educator and you want to be as successful as you possibly can as an educator. Or if you're an amateur, you want to just really get good at your instrument and feel successful in your practice sessions every day. Can you all connect to one of those scenarios? Or how do you want to feel more successful is an even better question for you. Can you put into the comments, in what area do you want to be more successful? Jane says, I want to be more successful being a singer. Yes. What about the rest of you? How do you want to feel more successful in a specific way? You've got to have a clear goal in mind. You can't just kind of haphazardly aim for one thing one day, another thing for another day, unless that big picture life success is very present in your mind. Okay? So that's number 1. Very, very clear goals. And then going along with those clear goals, you have to have a clear step-by-step process to achieve the goals. So number 1 is really about clarity of thinking. It's about having goals and a means whereby you achieve those goals. Number 1, clear thinking, clear purpose, clear step-by-step process. It's about your thought process, right? Number 2, you can have the best intentions in the world, the best purpose, the best goals, but if you cannot control your mind and you let all kinds of other thoughts and critical thoughts, self-judging thoughts, fearful thoughts, doubtful thoughts, if you allow self-doubt to creep in, you're not going to get where you want to go. It's just, there's no way you're going to achieve your goals if you allow your mind to sabotage you. That's called self-sabotage, right? So number 2 is you have to have control over your mind. You have to do that consciously because, and a mind on autopilot, a habitual mind on the default setting, is a monkey mind, so to speak. It's going to be all over the place. It's going to be out of control. It's going to be distracted. It's going to be jumping all over the place. You're going to flit from one thing to another. You're going to change your goals. You're going, like, as soon as something gets hard, you're going to say, oh, I don't want to do that anymore, and you go on to the next thing. Number 2 is getting control over your mind. And by extension, your body. They go together. When you are focused and concentrated in the most holistic way, that absolutely does include your body. You cannot think without your body. It's that simple. You can't think without a brain. And your brain happens to be part of your body. We don't usually think of thoughts as physical things. They are psychophysical. They are the mind-body. You cannot separate the two. You cannot have a thought, or an emotion for that matter, without your body. So getting control over your mind is actually getting control over your whole self. Your mind, body, emotions. You. I think it was Leonardo da Vinci that said there is no greater dominion than over oneself. Number 2 requires knowledge on how to do that, and it requires so much. It requires your whole self to get control over your whole self, and it requires vigilance and determination and all kinds of human qualities. And that's actually number 3. Part of how we get control over the mind, body, self, is by accessing innate human qualities. You could call them virtues, but virtues tends to have a connotation that not everybody would like to accept. Like a religious connotation. I'm not talking about virtue in the context of religion, although religion certainly goes there more than most other systems, right? But I'm talking specifically about human natural qualities. When I do my creative healing events, I dive into 4 areas of human qualities in great detail, and we apply these concepts to healing certain problems in our lives. But it's essential, really, to examine ourselves in that light and to want to connect to the human qualities that help us get control over ourselves, because they're beautiful qualities. We want to be like that. Now, I'm specifically talking, I'll just give you a very, very quick overview. This is a very, very, very rich area of growth, of development, personal development, and I'm just going to give you like the tiniest taste of this. This is something that I go into much more depth with my private coaching clients at times when that is part of what we've decided we were going to work on. But there are 4 categories. Actually, there are 6, but I usually only talk about 4. Right now, I'm only going to talk about 4. The 4 areas of human qualities to really pay attention to. And we all have tendencies to need more of one or the other category at different times and in different situations. But here they are. The first theme or category of human qualities has to do with letting go. It's about space, emptiness, silence, stillness. There's a certain death of the ego, so to speak. There is a lack of attachment, number 1. There's a purity, there's a pure quality to this first category. Just as an aside, if you're feeling detached and like you've let go of a problem, do you feel successful? I do. If something's really bothering me and getting me all riled up and I'm really annoyed about something and feeling bad, and if I can just drop it and stop and let go, wow, I feel successful in that moment. I don't know about you. You know what I'm talking about? Does this ring a bell? Does this sound... Have you ever experienced that where you have a problem and all of a sudden you're like, I just give up. I'm going to let go of that and move on and do something else. You are being so successful when you're able to drop a problem like that and just let it go. And your whole body responds with gratitude, because like when you're holding on to something, when you're very attached to it or you're upset, there's a lot of tension there in your body, right? And if you can just stop and let go of it and just be still, detachment is a big part of number one. You are so successful in that moment. Good, I'm getting a Y from Jane. Okay, please, I would love to hear from all of you. Give me more feedback. So I'm not just talking here. I really, really love to hear what you all have to say. So if you're having thoughts and you want to just share them, it's really nice to have a conversation going on here between all of you, so I can kind of also see how you're responding, and then your responses kind of feed into what I'm giving you here, and it can become more personal and more fun as an interaction between all of us. So yeah, thanks to those of you who are responding, and yeah, if you're watching even the replay, right, and there will be a live replay at 5 o'clock today, but I would love to get your feedback. So thanks, Jane. And okay, so moving on, the second theme category of human qualities that help you achieve success. The second one is action. You've got to take action. So if you're feeling unsuccessful in a certain area of your life, let's say as a performer, because you can't perform, first of all, you have to be able to let go of that, because you can't change that right now. COVID is going to be around for a while, and it is going to affect musicians, performers for a while. So you got to be able to be detached from that, because if you're not, you're missing that element of success. This is a blockage. You are blocking yourself from success if you're not letting go of reality. I mean, letting go into reality, right? That's number one. Number two is, well, you can't just lie around being lazy and feel successful. It just doesn't work that way. Number two is action. You've got to, and very specifically right now in this context, you've got to get creative, musicians. You can't just sit around moaning, not saying anybody out there is, but I know there's a tendency to worry and feel bad and then just go watch Netflix all day, right? Or eat a lot, or get on the phone and whine. And that would be another self-sabotaging thing, because you need to be using this time to your advantage. That means you need to get creative. And maybe you need to get help, okay? There are people like me, frankly, that can help you be on track and actually thrive through this crazy time that feels so uncomfortable and wrong. You can get help to become more powerfully you, to feel better and play better and get ready to thrive, like be even better than before COVID when we're able to get back on stage. You can do so much now, make incredibly good use of this time. It's actually a real gift if you look at it that way, to have this time to get help if you need it, to practice if you need it, to go back to fundamentals if you need that, to find new avenues of income, right? To learn new technologies, get really creative in how you can make money, right? But that requires this second quality of action, pure act. determination, no hesitation, lots of vigilance. Vigilance in the sense of you've got to take care of your mindset. There is no way you're going to survive and be successful if you cannot control your mind. That's number 2, where you must use your will and be on track, be centered and do what you need to do. I've had to get really tough on myself to stick to certain routines throughout, I've had my ups and downs for sure through this period, just like everybody else. And I know what I have to do as soon as I get up. And I know what I need to do before I go to bed. And sometimes I feel lazy and I don't want to do it, but I suffer the consequences when I don't stick to what I know I need to do. So I need to be super disciplined. That's number 2. Okay? The third category of human qualities that is necessary, totally necessary to success, is actually feeling grateful for what you already have. It's like we talked about, to be so grateful that we are alive and can breathe. If you can live in gratitude, then your energy will flow. And I'll get to that in the 4th step, not the 4th theme. But right now I'm talking about, by the way, if you came on late, I'm talking about 4 things that are essential to success from a holistic mind, body, spirit perspective, which is also super practical. It's like the key to personal and professional success. There are 4 things, okay? Number 1, just to recap, was very, very clear intentions, goals, purpose, clear thinking. Number 2 is to get control over your whole self with your mindset. Get control over your mind, which includes your body and your whole self, your emotions, to have dominion over yourself and to have the steps to know how to do that, because it is a skill to have dominion over yourself. That's number 2. Then number 3 was, I'm going into these 4 categories of human qualities that are necessary to feeling successful. And you can use these, kind of give yourself doses of one or another of these categories depending on your state in a certain period. So for instance, now I'm at number 3, gratitude. There's more to number 3, of course. These are all very rich categories with a lot of words that go with them, but the quality of number 3 is gratitude, peace, contentment, calm. So that you don't have to go through life pushing and rushing and frenetic. So many people who are trying to be successful work really hard. Do you work really hard trying to be successful in whatever it is? Whether you're an amateur practicing really hard and you're like pushing, or if you're an educator and you have a lot of students and you're working really hard to take care of each of your students and organizing recitals and booking places and trying to figure out technology and you like pushing and rushing and then worry and anxiety creep in, right? Those are the opposites of number 3. If you feel any of those things that I just told you, anxiety, worry, dispersion, your mind's all over the place, you're frenetic, you're hurrying, then you need the 3rd theme of human qualities. You need more presence. Now, here, now, calm, peace. That's number 3. If you're pushing, and rushing and worrying, it's another form of self-sabotage. You might achieve your goals that way, but at great cost to your well-being. Don't do it that way. Number 3 is all about finding the easy way to get ahead. And that I'll talk more about that, okay? So the 4th category of human qualities is love, passion, generosity, and flow. Energy. But it's a warm energy. It's not this strength of number 2. Number 4 is just a pouring out of a river of love and good energy. It's all about energy flow and just, there's a fountain of energy flowing out of you. Now, as an artist, you've got to be able to connect with that to be successful, because inspiration is all about tapping into that flow of expression so that you can access that rich passion, that love for what you do. You can access that on command and then get out of the way and let it out through your instrument. That makes you a successful artist. Number 4, and compassion. I don't know who said that, but yes, number 4, compassion and trust and confidence and faith. Those are theme number 4. Oh yeah, Joe, your name just popped up. It wasn't there before. Yes, compassion, absolutely. Okay, I'm just looking at the comments really briefly before I go on. Marjolaine says, to Olga, I feel gratitude when I see my loved ones succeed and get better. Yeah, start feeling it when you see yourself succeed with love flow. Yes, yes, yes. I love that you're having this conversation. This is great. I mean, we help each other so much when we share our own experiences and how, we reflect back what something is meaning to us, and then, we help each other. It's like everybody sees the same things from a different perspective. So these are 4 categories that are universal human qualities. And of course, they all have their opposites. When I teach these qualities, I go in depth into their meaning and their opposites and how to meditate on them, how to use them, how to bring them into your music making or your artistry. Like, how can you make these ideas practical? It's not just about lofty philosophical ideas. That does not interest me. That used to interest me when I was a kid and a teenager. Oh, I was so up in the clouds, but I was heavy and fatigued and kind of depressed in my body, and I didn't have any energy until I found the Alexander technique, and I learned how to bring those lofty in the cloud ideas into my presence, like into my body. It's like not up in the clouds, like here, can I live these ideas with this body I live in? And can I take action on them in the world? Can I manifest these things? And can I, and then later, years later, I started wondering, well, can I actually do this through my music making? And that's what I feel like one of my specialties is to be able to bring really abstract, lofty, up in the clouds ideas and ideals and make them so accessible and practical so that you can actually change your daily life and your career and your experience of your relationships and what you do. It's like, make it practical. It's worthless if it's just a lofty idea up in the clouds. Let's make all of this practical. How can this affect your practice session? It is super practical. You know why? Because again, an idea is not just up in the clouds, it's always in the brain. But if you don't allow that idea to flow through the body, it gets stuck. And then your body has tension, and then you can't bring those qualities into your music or anything else. You'll just be stuck and constricted, and that feels bad because you can't breathe as freely, so you don't get enough oxygen around your body. I mean, really, it's absolutely essential to make ideas practical, to bring them to life, literally. Use the ideas, do something with them. That's the second theme. That's the one I used to need a lot of because I had no energy and I was not a doer, right? I was really good at theme number 1, like stillness, detachment. That was like my specialty. And then I really had to work hard to get better at theme number 2, like taking action on things. And then also number 4, to really feel generous, effusive energy, because I just, I had allergies. I was sick a lot, had no energy. So I really needed the more active themes 2 and 4. Okay. So anyway, this is just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more to these categories. And if anybody's just curious, I've done a lot of study throughout my life about, because I was up in the clouds, right? I was very interested in learning about different modalities, like mind-body techniques, and especially different religions. I was interested in comparative religions and spiritual practices, and I studied a lot, so I learned a lot. And one of the things that really stuck with me when I was a teenager, I think it was 19 or so, I was interested in Sufism at that time, and these themes, actually, I don't remember where they came from exactly, but they come from Sufism, just for anybody who's curious. If you don't know what that is, go look up Rumi. He's the most well-known Sufi in history, I think. So anyway, I've talked about I've given 3 of the 4 steps, I guess you could say. They're not steps really, but they're 4 essential things that you need to have more success in your life. As a recap, the first one is to have very clear goals, intentions, purpose, and just plain good thinking. Clear intentions. You have to know what you want. Desire goes in there. Clear desire, number 1. If you want to be successful, you have to have a goal, right? And as I said, even before that, the big picture goal is to stay alive, so we're already all successful, and that is a very, very important thing to remember and be grateful for. Second one, get control over your mind and therefore your whole self, including your body and your emotions. That's mindset work above all. Okay, you need to know how to do that. It's a skill. You have to have the techniques. This is what I teach, how to do that. Of course, there are lots of places where you can learn how to do that, but Art of Freedom is my method for conscious living and masterful artistry, and it's the way I take together all the many things that I've learned into a step-by-step process. And a big part of it is teaching Primal Alexander, which is a way to effectively and powerfully teach the Alexander technique without the hands, which I love now. I don't even want to use my hands anymore because Primal Alexander empowers the student so much. So those were the first 2. The third one, I gave you 4 human qualities. You've got to include virtue and human qualities to have true ultimate success in yourself personally, but also professionally. Of course, there are mean people out there who are really successful in their businesses, right? You can have elements of success. Like there are a lot of not so nice rich people, but there are also a lot of really, really nice rich people, and they're healthier and happier, and they have better, more well-rounded lives. So I firmly believe that if you want real success in every area of your life, you need to be a good person, and you have to care about being a good person, and you have to, do something about it. So it pays to know a little bit about, or a lot about, what are the qualities of being a good person, good human being, and how can you make that practical and bring that into whatever you're trying to achieve and be successful at. There are very, very clear, practical, simple ways to do this, but you have to have the skills. You have to know how to do it. And again, that's the strategy that I teach to my private coaching clients more than anybody else. I also teach these things to a certain degree in my Alexander Musicians group class, but we don't actually go quite as deeply into the essence of these things as I do with my private clients if they want to go there. I do all kinds of different things with my private clients depending on their interests, their goals, and their needs. But with all of my private clients, I want them to be successful. So I give them what I believe they need in that moment to get from A to B to be super successful with what they want. So last but not least, I'm coming to the fourth thing that you need to become really, truly successful. And this one, they all go together. But this 4th one is about knowing how to consistently access inspiration. This is a kind of more elusive thing. But if you don't know how to tap into your inner wisdom, or your creative muse, so to speak, if you don't know practically how to do that, then you're kind of leaving things up to chance. Some days you'll get super inspired and creative, and everything will work, and your fingers will move the way you want them to, and you'll be coordinated, and everything will just work. And other days, like, nothing you do will work, and you won't be able to get yourself back on track. Your thinking is going to be off. Nothing you do is interesting. You're in the practice room, and everything sounds bad, and you just kind of, nothing is working, and or you get bored, or you're tired of the same old scales, same old pieces. You have to know how to consistently access inspiration or inner wisdom, or your intuition, your deep, the essence of who you are, really, but connected to something fundamentally bigger than you as an individual. And you have to know how to channel that. Channel is not a word that I use very often, but that's the word that I channeled in that moment. No, really, we have to become conduits for an energy that is something really mysterious. The spirit of music, the spirit of art, spirit itself. It's a word not everybody can connect to. If you don't like the word spirit, what about love with a capital L? I think everybody can agree that we want to bring love into what we do, right? So you have to know how to tap into that, and how it's totally possible. I know how to do that. I've figured it out. I've learned how to do that. It's natural. It's a God-given is the word that comes to mind. You don't have to believe in God to do this. You can use whatever words you want. Spirit, God, source, the universe, nature, Mother Nature, the great mystery. I love that one. That's from the American Indians. Native Americans, let's say. Sorry, Native Americans. Sorry about that. Call it what you will. We all know there's a life force. And it's a mystery. Nobody understands it. Consciousness, energy, life force. Call it what you will. But you have to know how to consciously tap into that and direct that energy, because it is an energy. It is energy as such. You have to know how to direct that through the mind, body, self, and out in a very focused way to get what you want. And it can be whatever you decide you want, but that's why number one is so important. You have to know what you want so that you can direct that energy. Otherwise, the energy is always there, but you'll get distracted and pushed and pulled in many different directions, and that is a weak position, because if you're constantly being pulled and pushed in multiple directions and you get distracted all the time, you're like I'm thinking of those blow up, like at gas stations they have those plastic blow up things that kind of go with the wind. They're being blown by wind, and they're like all over the place. Or you're like a sick tree that gets pushed over by the really strong wind. You don't want to be like that. That's not success. That's not being successful. To be successful, you have to know how to be rooted in the ground and know how to tap into universal life force energy, how to direct that clearly by getting out of the way of it, because it's a very powerful force and we can't control it, not in the least. But we can choose. This is what Alexander called man's supreme inheritance. Because we're human, we have free will, and we can choose how to direct the energy that comes through us. And that is what will make you successful in any area of your life that you choose. But it may not look that way when you want it to. That's why I'm going to leave you with one more very, very, very important, maybe the most important thing I'm going to say of this entire video, which is almost over. The most important thing is that you get to be successful right now as soon as you choose to pay attention and find out the truth of what's happening right now. When you can stop and be present and let go, just by doing a little constructive thinking, if you do this right now, you ask yourself, where else do I seem a bit easy? That's something I teach I teach everybody in a little etude called The Cycle. It's a Primal Alexander etude created by Mio Morales. Look it up on YouTube if you don't know what I'm talking about. Look up my name and The Cycle. If you do a little bit of constructive thinking and you're more present in that moment, you are in this moment more successful than you were in the previous moment. You've improved. You've opened up a little bit more. And an open self is a powerful energy conduit, right? Okay, so I hope this was useful for you and interesting. And I'm just hopping over to the comments again here briefly. Marjolaine says, you did a live in this group, a special about the virtue. Oh, that's right. I forgot I did that. I always forget the videos that I've done. Thanks for the reminder. In the Mind, Body, Spirit Tribe here on Facebook, there are units, and there are videos in those units. And one of the ones I did was in the challenge. It's called the Virtuous Virtuoso. I talked more in depth about these human qualities that I touched on today. So if you want more of that, you can go find that video. Thank you, Marjolaine, for reminding us of that. I totally forgot that was in this group. So, okay, great. Well, thank you all so much for being here. And before you leave, make sure to be on my mailing list if you're not already. And if you're a violinist, I would be so grateful if you would respond to the poll that I put out this morning in the group. And stay tuned for some new and interesting stuff, especially for professional violinists. Yeah, it's time. It's an important time. And because I'm a professional violinist, it just makes a lot of sense for me to be speaking directly to other professional violinists at this time. So, I would love to get in touch with you. Please get in touch with me if you're a professional violinist. At least just respond to that poll in the Facebook group. And send me an email if you want to know more. If you didn't get my email, if you did get my email, if you're on my email list and you're a professional violinist, please check your inbox. I sent out an email yesterday that I want to make sure that you read it. You don't have to reply to it unless you'll know what it's about if you read it. Make sure you open that email. It's an important one for professional violinists, okay? If you didn't get it, message me, please. I want you to have it. Okay, lots of love to you all. You are successful already. Just breathe and be grateful you're alive, okay? Lots of love, be well, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye.